Good. Okay. All right. So before we get started with the information in this presentation, first of all, again, I just want to say thank you all for being here. And then I'm also going to take 1 second just to introduce the three members of the Office of Education Abroad Center for Global Learning and Engagement who are here today, since some of you, we may not be familiar faces to you. So my name is Alexandra Deppner. I'm the Director of Education Abroad here at UCA. Dr. Bailey, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, so I'm kind of happy to see a bunch of names I don't recognize and faces either. Um, my old face belongs to Philip Bailey. I'm a longtime UCA professor of French. I did that for 24 years. In 2017, I was asked to head up the international office, which is, as you know, called the Center for Global Learning and Engagement. And I'm real excited to be talking to you all about various destinations you might accompany students. Um, More on that later.
Awesome. Thanks, Dr. Bailey. Hayden, can you say hi to everyone real quick?
Yeah, hi guys, my name's Hayden. So I'm one of the advisors here in the Office of Education Abroad. So I'm super excited to see kind of what ideas you guys have for taking students abroad.
Thanks. So yes, mainly in our office, facilitating these programs, me and Hayden will be the ones kind of responding to questions and helping you throughout the proposal process. So hopefully I'm going to start with just briefly going over the kind of three main types of processes that you may be considering taking part in terms of doing a study abroad program. And you may have found this meeting link through the call for proposals that we sent out just about exactly 2 weeks ago, if not maybe through our website. But in any case, we're hoping that you're coming to this meeting today either with the intention of just getting more information about how to get involved with study abroad, or maybe even with one of these possibilities in mind. So if you go to our website, or if you're looking at that call for proposals, then you would have seen that we kind of outlined three different processes, and I'm going to touch on each of these today, most heavily on the process for first-time programs or faculty proposing a program for the first time, and our new option, which is kind of a pre-designed program that our office has worked to put together with a new partner in Greece. However, certainly we do have information on our website available for faculty who are proposing a returning program. Just generally, I'm not seeing any faces, and this meeting probably doesn't appeal as much to people who have been through this process before. So we won't spend as much time on that. But if you've looked at the proposal and you've seen that, we do have a separate process for people who have been through this before, and we kind of already have a lot of information on what their program would be, where it would go, etc. So just to kind of go right into faculty who may be interested in proposing a program for the first time, or even if you've proposed a program in the past, but you're thinking of starting a new program, something different, something we haven't seen before. All of our processes are organized into phases. So we start with this first phase, what we call phase one, which we ask faculty to complete by March 1st. The first step of that process is attending this meeting. So great, we've taken the first step. You're all part of the way there. And this is just kind of for us to talk about what this process looks like and answer any questions you have. We'll certainly leave time for you guys to ask questions. However, if at a certain point something pops up or you need clarification, please don't hesitate to raise your hand, or leave a question in the chat, or just voice that you have a question. With this process, so you're interested in leading a group of students, let's say to France, to teach courses in philosophy, just as an example. Okay, then after you've come to this meeting and learned a little bit about what the process is, then your next step would be to submit an abstract. So this abstract is really a super vague overview of what your program would be. So it's just going to outline the destination, where you'd be taking students, the courses that you would plan to teach, and kind of give a brief overview of what your planned itinerary would look like. Not super detailed, just like these are a few places we'd like to go. If you have another faculty leader identified, so we do always ask that faculty have at least one other person. Generally 2 faculty leaders is ideal for a program, so we ask that you identify that person in the abstract. And then the last thing you have to submit is a faculty approval form. And that's just a DocuSign form where we're getting formal approval from your chair and your dean for the program that you're proposing. So as I said, this first abstract is really just going to give us kind of a broad idea of what you're wanting to do, where you're wanting to go. You're not going to enter into a lot of detail about, oh, this is the exact cost of this thing, or, on this day at this time, we're going to go here. It's really just going to be, a broad idea capturing the kind of essence of your program, if that makes sense. And by, the beginning of March, we hope to have all of those abstracts, and our office, so the Office of Education Abroad and then Center for Global Learning and Engagement, will come together and review all of the abstracts that we've received for the upcoming summer, for summer 2025. And we'll work to schedule meetings with those faculty to kind of review any feedback we have. So, we might say, hey, here we see that this part of your plan isn't really, or your abstract left us with some questions, or, whatever we think might need to be improved, or things we think are really great, suggestions we have based on past experience. We would meet with you in that mid-March to early April kind of time period to just review our thoughts on that abstract that you've submitted, that outline that you've given us of your program. Then once that happens, we would ask you to submit more detailed documentation about this program. And of course, we're here to help you through this process. So in just a second, I'm going to go over kind of our responsibilities or our role versus faculty leaders' roles, and kind of talk about what those differences are. But we're certainly here to guide and support you through that process. But the faculty mainly will be developing a more detailed itinerary, letting us know, what exactly is it that you're wanting to do with students? Where are you wanting to take them so that they're getting the essential, information from that place to learn, meet those learning objectives for the course that you're imparting, or courses. And so you're going to submit a more detailed itinerary and a more detailed budget. And those will really serve our office as we work with providers, which we'll talk a little bit more about in a second, as we work with a provider to build out a full program budget that we can share with students. So that's really the key step there, is that final step where we've given you feedback and we're working on really, fleshing out all the details, the budget, the itinerary, the course syllabi we usually keep on file as well for any courses that you would be planning to teach. And then you do also have to read through and sign our faculty guidelines. That's just a simple Google form. And then a faculty data form as well is quite simple, just submitting some information about emergency contacts and things. So really it's that program details form that's more complicated, where you're really kind of honing in on the, precise details of the program that you're proposing. Okay, so that's kind of what we're looking at if you're proposing a program for the first time. There is, this is, I think, probably what people usually have. Oh, there we go. Okay, this is probably what people usually have the most questions about, is okay, what are my responsibilities as a faculty leader, and what is the Office of Education Abroad going to do? So I created this little chart to kind of clarify and go over some of the key things. Of course, this is not by any means comprehensive, but I think it helps to define and clarify what things we expect faculty leaders to do, and then what our office would do. So for example, when you're coming up with your proposal, you will choose a location and ideally a partner. We'll be happy to provide you with a list of potential partners or providers in a given location. So if you tell us, for example, this happened this last summer, I want to lead a program in Amsterdam. We can say, okay, here are some great options of providers that we think might be a fit for the program you're wanting to lead in Amsterdam. And then the faculty and our office will work with those providers to choose the best one. We can definitely identify and suggest those partners, but it's really up to the faculty to come to a decision. The faculty are going to develop that detailed itinerary, and then we're going to work with the provider, our office, to bring that vision that the faculty have to life. So, the faculty may say, okay, on the Monday, I want to go to the Louvre. On, the Tuesday, I want to go to this museum. And once we have that itinerary, we're going to do a lot of the day-to-day logistics, working with the provider to come up with a proposal, make that happen, and determine what that cost is going to be. With students, of course, always having communication and feedback with faculty until we come to a proposal that we're all happy with. We obviously ask for faculty leaders to provide a budget early on, or just an estimated budget. So we do ask that faculty investigate and estimate those program costs realistically. But at the end of the day, we're going to be working with our flight coordinator and our provider to find the most budget-friendly options and really, come up with a final cost for students. And then we ask, like I said, faculty will need to submit documentation of what those activities are that they want to do in their itinerary, seek program approval while we're working to give feedback, support any questions and get those resolved. And then obviously working with providers day to day to develop the program budget, working with students. This is really in just those initial phases, because after we have that program plan developed, then we're working with students jointly to kind of recruit and do all these other things. But these are some of the big things to kind of show how we're working together to build a program. So this is, like I said, if you're proposing a new program or proposing a program for the first time, kind of what that would look like. We also have this year a new option for faculty, which is, instead of developing a program from scratch, jumping onto or applying to jump onto, I guess I should say, our pre-designed program. So this has definitely been Hayden's baby. In just a second, I'll turn it over to her so she can talk a little bit more about what this program entails. But our goal with this is to make the barrier for entry a little bit lower for faculty who are really interested in taking students abroad, but feel, a little bit overwhelmed by the proposal process. So we've already designed this program with our new partner in Greece. And the first step that you'll have to do as a faculty leader interested in joining this program is obviously attend this meeting, but then just submit an application, kind of talking about why you think this program would be a good fit for you. So I'm going to let Hayden talk a little bit more about the details of this program, and also, what the process will look like for hopping on.
Thanks, Allie. Allie's given us a pretty good preface for kind of, what this new process is going to look like. So we're very excited to kind of launch a new model for, leading programs in the summer. And we're going to start with our partner at Parotis College in Greece. So this is, like Allie said, a new partner. And so they're going to be helping us coordinate a 2-week program in June of summer 2025 for students to go abroad. And so you'll notice that this is also, divided into phases. And so there's 3 phases that are very similar to, the other process for first-time faculty members, except instead of, developing an itinerary from scratch, we've already kind of done a little bit of the dirty work for you. So we have, a rough kind of budget for you and an itinerary that has been outlined. There's a day-by-day itinerary. If you go, online, it'll take you to a document. Yeah, Allie will pull it up. And it'll show you kind of just the general ideas that we have worked with our provider to develop so far. And so obviously, this is not set in stone, what we're going to do on a day, or what the program will do on a day-to-day basis, but the application is going to prompt you to tell us about how you can take your discipline and you can take this program and mold it to fit your discipline. So like, what day trips would you want to add in, or what day trips would you want to substitute? And so that's kind of really what we want to see, what ideas
Still
you can
doesn't want to come off.
and
It still doesn't want to come off.
how you can build this program to fit your discipline. So you'll, at the end of March, or at the end of February, so March 1st, we'll have that application close, and then we will meet as an office and kind of go over the different options. And then we'll let you guys know if you do decide to apply to this program, kind of, where we stand and which faculty members we're going to ask to lead this program. And then at that point, there will be a few forms that you need to sign, and we'll be having conversations with you about how you want to develop it. And, like I said, things that you want to substitute or things that you want to add into the program. So and then that'll be pretty much, yeah, that's pretty much it as far as the timeline goes.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Hayden, for kind of giving that overview. I was just going to show you, you can see this document is pretty comprehensive and gives a good overview of the program as it is in its current stage. So in terms of what we're looking at as a budget, some of the, visits that we envision for the program, of course, the idea, as Hayden mentioned, is that a faculty leader who's applying for this program would be able to make adjustments or supplement this list of visits according to the particular discipline that they are teaching. So this is a really great document to look through if you're interested in joining this pre-design program. Then this, kind of gives a really great overview. It talks about accommodations, the meals that would be included already. There is a very detailed day-to-day itinerary, so you can see kind of the breakdown. And then you also have quite a, a good overview of the new partner and their kind of area of specialty as a university. So all of that information is there for you if you're interested and you want to get a little bit more of an in-depth understanding of what this program looks like that we've designed. And obviously our goal going forward as well, this is something to know, is to kind of have more opportunities, more additional programs with this sort of model where we'll do more of the work and allow faculty to join them. So this, like I said, is our first time running this model, and we're excited to see, we're very hopeful that this will appeal to faculty just by taking away some of that initial planning process and taking some of the guesswork out of it. So yeah, a lot of information, as Hayden mentioned, can be found on our website. On that, under faculty resources, you just navigate to proposal process. Here you'll see all of those 3 options that we discussed. And under pre-design program, you can see information on the different phases, as well as the document where it has all of the detailed information about this particular program. All right, I'm going to go back to my slideshow. Okay, so Hayden already went over, I think, all of the phases that you'll want to keep in mind. And I think the main thing is just knowing with either of these processes, you're submitting an abstract or an application by March 1st. Then in mid-March to early April, you'll get feedback on your application or your abstract. We'll reach out to you to meet with us if necessary, depending on, which process you've applied for. And then, let you know what additional requirements will need to be met, what additional documents will need to be submitted. So that's kind of what that process looks like. Again, just a comparison. So we've done a lot of the work, like Hayden said, we've already kind of chosen the location. We'll again work with our flight coordinator to choose flights. We'll develop the program. It's just the responsibility of the faculty leader on this program to decide what courses would fit the destination, the location, suggest edits to the itinerary that we've designed to better fit your discipline and your desired learning outcomes, and then continue to just communicate with us and submit follow-up documentation in a timely manner. So that's kind of what that process will look like from our end. These are just some of the programs. I included this that we have going this summer. As an idea, if you're not super familiar with what are the programs that we're currently offering, I wanted to go ahead and include these and show you what we have going on this summer. These are ever changing, and we have different locations in rotation. Next summer, certainly summer 2025, we'll have some of these same destinations to offer, along with some different ones. So would be interested to see, what ideas you all may have in terms of programs and destinations. I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Bailey for a moment so that he can talk about his 6 Ps for high impact, high engagement programs. And then hopefully, I imagine we should have some time after he gives his talk to answer questions that those of you that are here may have regarding this process. So Dr. Bailey, I'll hand it to you.
Yes, and because I'm really bad with faces and names, would you all just introduce yourself and say, I'm Mike Ellis, professor of X, Y, and Z, and have traveled in ABC countries and would like to go to Kenya. All right, I'll just call on people like we're in my class here. Christina, could you say hello?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, awesome. It's always terrifying going first. I'm Christina Jeffrey. Thank you so much for this, by the way. I did study abroad in college and it was a transformative experience. So it's really cool to be on the other end of it now. I'm in the Department of Psychology and Counseling. I work mostly in the grad program or master's and doc program there, but I've gotten to know our undergrad students a bit more over the last year, which has been awesome. I'm a big traveler, close to 40 countries. So I can give you my top like 3 of all time, if that would be like a good negotiation. Okay, Mexico, Norway, Slovenia, and Thailand. Okay, that's 4. And Thailand. Those are the best ones. Oh my gosh, they're all amazing. But that's been my favorites.
And where might you want to take a group of students?
I'm interested in the pre-design program in Greece right now, largely because I'm still tenure track and figuring a lot out. My dream would be to do something. A lot of my research is more liberation psychology, post-colonial psychology. So going to one of the countries with very close proximity to colonization would be a passion. So West Africa, parts of South America, but I would love to kind of get my feet wet with Greece if I could.
Gosh, Christina, we got to talk because you're pushing a lot of my buttons. But anyway, I'm trying to end my career with a successful UCA in East Africa initiative that includes Kenya, Rwanda, and Tanzania. And we've had groups make it to 2 out of the 3, but haven't had a successful group in Kenya. And I hope to provide a prefab Kenya program for people to apply to in summer 2026. So look for that. That was a perfect example for someone who went first. Mike, can you go second?
I was going to point out, Philip, that you asked everybody to introduce themselves as Mike Ellis, and Christina did not do that. So, but anyway, I am Mike Ellis. I'm in the Computer Information Systems and Analytics Department of the College of Business. I attended one of these several years ago, but had never had the time to do anything with it. Susan Shaw in my department, you guys met last week, and she had talked to me because I have traveled in Europe quite a bit about joining for the Greece program because she had some ideas. We're doing an analytics competition special topics class right now, and that we could use that as a model for this kind of a experience. So that's what I'm here for. So was there something
Thank
else
you.
where
No, Mike, I just want to point out to people, pay attention to the fact that he wishes to travel, because you might find a future partner on the screen, okay?
Yeah, originally when I first started talking about it, I was looking at setting something up to mostly England because of some of the history of computing that's there, including some of the work in World War II involving Turing and some of those folks. And I've been to the history of computing and where Turing and those folks did a lot of their work. And the location just slipped out of my left ear, but it's north of London. I've been there before, and I know there's a lot of other things that would be interesting. So like I said, I just never got to follow up on it.
Right. Well, it's never too late. Thank you. JJ Mayo.
How's it going? Can you see me okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I really am interested I'm in the Department of Nutrition Family Sciences, and I know Ann and Nana Roof have been really involved, and she left, so I didn't know if anybody from nutrition was going to attend this session or if you've heard anything from someone in nutrition. But I think going to Greece and being able to study the Mediterranean diet and maybe going on an olive tour, I think we could do a lot of fun things. And so that's the reason I wanted to attend, just to learn more, because I'm new to study abroad.
JJ, I think there's going to be room for quite a few people at the party. What we're hoping to do with that Greece program is choose the faculty members whom we think are the best fit for the program, but do a model that allows more faculty members than may travel in the end to have a chance to recruit students.
Right.
And maybe we did this with Kenya a couple of years ago, but COVID killed the program. But there were 6 people who wanted to go to Kenya. And I told everybody at the first meeting, that's too many faculty members. But then I shut up and and they said, we know that, but we're going to see. Well, they had 20 kids signed up to go. And then COVID killed the program. So that kind of model where if you can get, enough students to defray the cost of your travel and generate some tuition, that's what we're hoping to do with Greece. So it doesn't just have to be 2 people who go if we get enough students. Thank you, JJ. Stacy Harris, and maybe the other person behind her.
Well, this is Jessica Hope behind me. I'm we're both at the School of Nursing, and I happened to fill in on a study abroad to China back in 2014. And I thought it was fabulous. And it was set up where we went to different hospitals and long-term care facilities, and then some fun stuff too, sprinkled through there. But I think the thing that made me interested is that, Greece has a fairly high longevity, fairly long longevity compared to the United States, and they don't have near the chronic conditions that we are faced here. So I think from a nurse practitioner, nursing side, even PT, OT, even dietetics, their diet, there's so much more walking that's done there, could be really impactful to really the College of Health and Behavioral Sciences. And I've traveled around, but I haven't found the perfect spot. I was supposed to go to Italy for I won't say which birthday, but then COVID happened. And so we had to cancel all of our plans. And so now I haven't got to that part of the country, which I really like to go. That's why the Greece is interesting.
Very good.
I'm Jessica Hope. I'm also interested in Greece. I've never done study abroad, but I've been to Cuba, Kaliningrad, Russia. I've been to Haiti, several things, just different trips that I've been on for missions. So,
Jessica, you're very adventurous. I wouldn't let you go to Cuba or Leningrad, or what was the other place?
Haiti.
Haiti. All 3 are off limits. So
Okay. Well, I don't want to go to the same place twice. So,
and remind me, where did you want to go? Greece?
yes.
Very good. And what was your discipline again? Sorry, I must have been tuning out.
We're nursing.
Nursing. Well, okay, so you're aware of what Brittany Savers is doing, right? In occupational therapy in Costa Rica?
Yeah, I don't want to go to Costa Rica.
So,
Yeah, well, she did field work in Tanzania, right?
So Tanzania was an option for me, but they ended up vetoing it because of when it is. They didn't want those students to miss that much school.
Right. Well, I'm really excited to see 2 people in the nursing program because there are just so many opportunities for you to give students an opportunity to do what Dr. Severes is doing. So we can do more brainstorming in a minute. Thank you, guys. How about Benjamin Brighton?
Yes, hello. My name's Benjamin Britton. I'm a marketing faculty member in the management marketing department. I'm in my 2nd year here, so I'm, I guess, relatively new. But I saw this just come across my inbox, and it seemed definitely interesting. It intrigues me. My I guess my niche within marketing, my research and kind of class niche anyway, is sales. I was thinking like, I should put on my sales hat and like, how do I sell the reason I need to go to Greece to study, to teach sales? I'm like, I don't know. I mean, I'll come up with something, but in the interim, it just seems, I think whenever you can get students, out somewhere, I think I'm sure that sounds interesting. And I think that would probably lend itself to, an enhanced learning process in some way. And I don't know, it just sounded cool. I don't really know a lot at this point. I'm just kind of, absorbing information. But anyway, it just seems cool. And I'm pretty familiar with traveling abroad. I've gone to Europe a bunch. I used to travel a lot when I was younger. So yeah, it just definitely sounds like it's something I'm comfortable with. I appreciate travel, and it just seems interesting. So kind of taking it in.
Very good. Thank you. Stephanie Rose.
Hi, and I'm just saying, Miss Jenkins is my other faculty member, and she can't talk, so she wanted me to go ahead and give an update or get on the camera. She's just trying to hear the details as best she can while she's doing something else. But I'm Dr. Stephanie Rose. I am assistant professor and the program director for the Addiction Studies program. I've been all over Mexico to some of the poorest parts as well as to some of the resort parts, but that's about it. I have an interest in showing students the pros and cons of socialized medicine, particularly for addiction treatment. And really just looked at what Ireland, the UK, and Canada has to offer. I feel, safety wise, and they've also had their programs in place for many years. So I thought that might be just an interesting niche to look at. So yeah, that's all I have really.
And Stephanie, have you traveled much?
Just to different parts of Mexico. I've been to some of the poorest, not so nice areas, as well as to some of the resorts, but that's it. And Tisha said she's never been out of the US.
So I really like that you mentioned Canada. Some people think you got to go across an ocean to get abroad. And Americans, unfortunately, tend to underestimate the challenges of negotiating Canadian culture and perspectives. They're definitely not Americans who speak with a Canadian accent. So
I agree. Yeah.
And especially in the last 30 years, I've been to Winnipeg, Toronto, and Montreal 30 years ago, and then Montreal and Toronto more recently. And those cities are so globalized, and Canada is doing so well with everything that is terrifying half of my fellow citizens in the United States,
Yeah.
that you could get a very cost-effective program, right? English, even if you went to Montreal, English would be the language. So that could be something that I'd be happy to talk about with you further, because it's going to make something that's cost-effective,
Wonderful.
but very profound.
And also Montreal they also have, it's Canadian French, right? And a lot of rich
Yeah,
French
yeah.
culture as well. Okay.
Yeah, I was just in Montreal in October, and I just can't tell you how transformed it is. You used to go on the Rue Sainte-Catherine and have that was the French street. And now it's the South Korean, Chinese, Shanghai dumpling, you name it. It's just a really cool place.
I would
Tisha,
love
I'll
to
let you
learn more.
Be represented by Stephanie, but Yesul Nam.
Hi. So I'm a faculty member at Department in Psychology and Counseling, or I'm actually from South Korea myself. So I'm thinking about South Korea for the trip and the study abroad program. I'm usually teaching multicultural psychology, so it'll be great to let students know about the different cultures.
Nice to meet you, Yesul. I will say, we have a great university partnership in Seoul. If I can remember the name of the university, Christian University. It's Meiji-Gakuin is in Japan. What is it, Ali?
Myungji.
Myeonji. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was in Korea in 2018, setting up that partnership and doing some recruiting, and got the Busan as well. And there's possibilities for faculty-led that would take advantage of our university partnership in Seoul. And so that would just know that we'd be happy to entertain a faculty-led program to South Korea. And I could tell you, with K-pop being so popular in the United States, you would get some really good student interest.
And Asia is certainly an area of the world where we currently don't have a lot of faculty-led program opportunities for students. So I think that would be a place we would love to have more to offer. So yeah, glad to have you all here. It was great to hear a bit from each of you.
So, I get really excited when I see new faculty members. If you're in your first, second, or third year, tenure is important, and I hope you want to stay at UCA long enough to get it. So keep your publication record going, and don't distract yourself by going abroad. However, if you're getting your feet under you really well and want to go abroad, we're wanting to help you. The one thing I will say, that as long as I've been doing this, and at my age, I think I've learned a few things, and I've tried to point faculty members towards what I consider high impact, high engagement study abroad, because any good trip is a lot of work. Any good trip takes hours and hours of preparation. And so it even is hard work if you're just going to go to Paris and take pictures of the monuments, okay? But I use the perhaps chintzy paradigm of the 6 Ps, and then come to find out the UN Sustainable Development Goals are founded around 5 Ps. And my 6 Ps share 2 of them: people and partnerships and partners. But what I want to encourage you to think about, so Benjamin, you teach sales, okay? Well, you want to get abroad. I was talking to Susan Shaw about her data analytics perspectives. And there's opportunities if we reach out to our partner in Greece and say, hey, how about some of your partners, the olive shop or the wine place where we're going to taste wine, do they need some data analyzed that our kids could do as part of the sort of projects they do in class anyway? And then they get there and they get to meet the people they've helped and taste some of the olives. In sales, you could have some sort of service project, okay? Why would I want you to do service while you're in Greece? Because if you're actually engaging with people, all right, it's transformative. If you can speak a little bit of the language, it allows you to have interactions that you won't have otherwise, okay? We sent kids in a very successful program to Florence for years. Only in the last couple, it was the family nutrition program, where my office paid for every kid to have 1 Italian lesson. And then that was so popular that the next year, the faculty members wanted weekly lessons included in the program. So kids could start, going up and buying a pastry in the same pastry shop and saying, oh, molto bene, and other little Italian expressions, right? So we want you to think about doing this and not just being there as a tourist and seeing things, but really engaging with people. So the partnerships that I have around the world are another thing I want to mention. We require you to have some third-party provider, which happens to be another P, but that's a partner. Even if you're an experienced traveler, I want to have somebody in country that speaks the language to support the group and to do some of the planning and preparation. Because Hayden and Allie are both intelligent and well-educated and multilingual, and neither of them is a travel agent. And we just don't have the time and knowledge and energy to figure out whether your morning in Sevilla, Spain, or Beijing, China is overloaded with too much stuff. Now, if we have a provider, they can do that. But if you want to do this well, we have to work with you as partners. And some of the dirty work, I call it, it's the detailed work. If you talk to Dr. Brittany Savers, she gets more than dirty when she goes to Costa Rica and Tanzania with kids. She does a lot of work. And to the extent that you prepare students for success, you're going to be rewarded, okay? But we do try and find you a good third-party provider that we can trust. I got a fantastic one for Kenya, Tanzania, Ghana. They're called EduAfrica. Fantastic support. Give you Swahili lessons and help you out. Good partners in Mexico, China, Finland, Czech Republic, France, Belgium, where else? Rwanda. Ecuador. We got partners that can help, university partners that are not third-party providers. All right. The other thing we've got to watch out for is price. The inflation of the last year has really made airline fare go way up. And I used to be hoping to get the programs for 2 to 3 weeks abroad be about $5,000, and then they went up to 5,500, and now I got to tell myself that $6,000 is okay for 2 to 3 weeks. So the reason that we're only doing the Greece program at 2 weeks is to control the price. And kids can stay in Greece and go to Bulgaria after the trip, but we're trying to keep that price down. And I'm happy to say the president and the provost are trying to recognize the cost and help with an initiative. I hope that they get approved this spring. When I talk about place, there's sort of a pseudo-Buddhist idea of just being there. If you're going to go to a place, sit in it. Don't go to Italy and go to 15 cities. Don't go to Spain and go to 4 or 5 places. If you're in a great European city, walk the neighborhood. I'll never forget in 2014, I went to Paris with some UCA faculty members who'd been going there for 4 or 5 years. And we spent 3 weeks. First Sunday I get there, nobody had walked the neighborhood. We're in the 13th arrondissement. We're right near the Butokai, where the last battle of the Franco-Prussian War was fought in 1870. And no one knew that there was a boulangerie open on a Sunday and a laundromat and the best Basque restaurant with confit gizzards you've ever had, because they hadn't walked 5 minutes away from the hotel. Okay. So if we're going somewhere and we don't have the time to explore and just sit around in the neighborhood and meet people, I think we're missing out. All right. At least that's what my 6 Ps are about. We protect participants by having policies about safety, U.S. State Department travel advisories. We will not go to anything rated number 4, Afghanistan, certain places in Mexico. All right. Level 3 is problematic, but not impossible. China is level 3 for arbitrary detention, but I think that's a little bit different scale than a level 3 for high crime and kidnapping. Okay. We do go to Guadalajara, Mexico, because I've got a fantastic Jesuit university partner that will take care of our kids. And that's level 3, the Jalisco, the state is, but not the city. All right. So we will ask you to go to places that we can improve level 1 or level 2. There are tons of those all over the world. Okay. Most of Europe is level 2 because at any point you could be hit by a terror attack. And that's just sad, but that's what they'll give it a level 2 for. I've already talked a little about preparation and the process, but when you're abroad, if you're doing things that are high impact, we've got to have some dead time. If the kids see something really profound, like they will if they go to Africa, for instance, or Mexico, you may want to have a debrief in the evening and ask them, hey, what did you think of that young man with no legs on the skateboard that you saw in the middle of the boulevard today? Which is a young man I did see a couple years ago in Ghana. All right, so these 6 Ps, I'll be honest, a lot of the programming is about seeing the Eiffel Tower and the Michelangelo, all right? That is true, I won't deny that. Art is beautiful, but you'll see me gently pushing in these directions as you develop your program, okay? Any thoughts, comments, questions?
And the slides and the a copy of the Zoom will be posted somewhere where I can get them all. Okay.
Yes, we will have a copy of the Zoom and the slideshow shared with you guys, anyone who's attended this meeting via email. And then we will also have a recording of this posted on our faculty resources page as well.
Awesome.
Would you, so, just so I have a clear understanding, you don't recommend that we reach out to potential partners? We would kind of write up the idea and see if it sounds like there are potential partners already in place, for my idea. So,
Yeah,
what is your preference on that?
if you're looking to propose a new program, if it's like one of the partnerships that we already have, we absolutely can kind of connect on that and start gathering information with when it comes to like your abstract process, if it's a university partner. If we're talking about a provider, so not a university, but you may be familiar with something like EF Tours or another one of these companies that really works to organize student travel, then there are some that we've worked with in the past, and we'd be happy to connect you with those or provide you with a list of those companies or providers that we have ongoing relationships with. But certainly if you have one in mind or you've worked with one at a previous university, you're welcome to start a conversation with that provider and then loop us in, when things get off the ground. That's absolutely fine as well. I would say mainly if it's one of our university partners that we would want to liaise that conversation.
Okay, thank you.
Stephanie, one thing for Canada, I should mention, Hayden is the National Student Exchange Coordinator for UCA. That includes North America, as in Canada, all right? So there are many institutions in English-speaking Canada and Quebec where we have the right to send an exchange student to go up there and study for a semester or a year. They also have programs, and just like their students can come on our faculty-led programs, we could work with one of our NSC exchange partners to see if they had addiction studies programs. If you could find on your own addiction studies programs in Canada that are already doing stuff that in the field that you want your kids to experience, all right, you could make the first contacts as far as the content part goes, and then we could help find, we do have a travel agent for flights, for group flights. But we need someone to do things like book the bus and find the place for the kids to stay, unless that's one of our university partners. Sometimes they can do that role for us. So
Okay, thank you. Yes, and I'm thinking obviously culture immersion. I was kind of more drawn toward Montreal just because of that French Canadian aspect as well. But we definitely want to tour hospitals and things, treatment centers if possible, or at least interview. And that just really ties in with how we treat addiction. And Canadian scholars are really lots of publications coming out about addiction treatment. So I think it would be a really good fit.
all right, so I've actually visited our two partners in Quebec, in Montreal proper, the Université de Québec à Montréal and then University of Montreal. So that is a definite possibility. You won't have any trouble getting support from a French professor like me for that sort of idea.
Wonderful.
So are you guys ready that want to apply for the Greece program? Are you ready to apply? Do you think you have what you need?
Dr. Bailey, when it comes to the 6 principles or your 6 Ps, you feel like you've wrapped up this section? I just wanted to.
Yeah, we can send them. Isn't the application got the whole detailed 6 Ps?
Yes, and they're also in the slideshow. They're here within the slideshow as well, but they're also linked.
You were making me do it the hard way. I had to do it.
Yeah,
from...
absolutely. I wanted to hear it straight from the heart. I didn't want you reading off the slides. Here you have a most updated list of all of our partners, so that's something interesting. Our university partners, you'll have this in the slideshow as well for you to explore, so you can take a look at that if you're interested in seeing, who you might be able to connect with university-wise, in different countries around the world. Like I said, this is not the only way that we can set up a program. Our Amsterdam program, for example, we don't have a partner there, so we're working with another provider. Or, there are programs that we run in Italy. We don't have any partners in Italy, so we work with a third-party provider. So this is by no means just a list of all the places you could go. The options are endless, but these are just some of the ongoing kind of connections that we have that could be the great start of a program and can potentially provide low-cost accommodations for students, which is always great. And then, yes, you have the full 6 Ps here if you want to take a look at those. And then I've also, at the end of the slide, like I said, you'll all receive this by email, listed some of the kind of documents that could be useful. You can also find these on our website directly, but you have our drug and alcohol policy related to study abroad, our accompanying family policy, which we're currently in the process of updating, but it's in its current form on our website and linked here. Our travel policy that Dr. Bailey mentioned, some standards of good practice, the 6 Ps document, some other templates and things that you may find useful as you're moving through this process. So all of that is there for you. And I think that's basically the end of my slideshow. So I did want to leave. We have a little less than 10 minutes left. In case any of you have questions regarding anything at all, whether that is, you're interested in designing a first-time program and you have questions about the logistics of that. If you're interested in, as Dr. Bailey mentioned, applying for that Greece program and you have some questions regarding what that looks like. So definitely, feel free to kind of use this as an open Q&A for any of those questions that may still be lingering after this presentation.
I have a question.
Yeah.
In the Greece documentation and multiple times during this meeting, you guys have talked about student accommodations. Nobody has ever used the term faculty accommodations.
Yes.
So
Faculty accommodations are provided and they're included obviously in the program cost that's covered by students. So faculty costs are, well, according to our current policies, we'll see if we're able to make some progress on this with the proposal that Dr. Bailey was mentioning. But currently, all faculty costs are divided equally among the students and included in their program fees. And accommodations do vary slightly from program to program, but as a general rule, it's going to be some type of single private accommodations. Just to give some examples of what we've seen in the past, it could be like in our Northern Ireland program this year, all faculty and students are staying on a campus, but faculty have their own, private rooms in a separate kind of area, and the students have their rooms elsewhere. And on our Italy program that we've been running for several years, faculty generally have kind of a private apartment and separate from the students' accommodations in Italy. On our Amsterdam program, it's similar to that. Students are all accommodated in one kind of area or one building, and then faculty have separate private accommodations. But in any case, we obviously work with faculty to make sure that they suit your needs, that they suit our budgetary constraints, and that they're effective for everyone involved. But that is a cost that's factored in to the budget and is not something that faculty are responsible for. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, and Doug Voss is my next door neighbor here in the office, so I can always talk. I can ask him more about that. I've been telling him a lot about Amsterdam and things that they ought to check out too. So, and I have one other question that's actually kind of, I don't know, petty or really detailed, but you talk about using a travel agent to do the group bookings on thing. Is there a possibility to like upgrade seats or anything like that on flights like that, or are you locked in, or they've got control over it, or how do you do that?
Yeah, so when we do group bookings, there is always some possibility for individual people to pay for different upgrades and things like that. Basically, the way that works is our travel agent books, you could call it like a block of seats. So let's say we work with faculty to find a time, an itinerary that we're happy with and the faculty are happy with, and at a price we like. We usually do this at the end of the fall semester. So, we'll find those flights and we'll book or hold a certain number of seats based on our estimated group size. Generally, that's going to be around 20 seats. And then from there, as the semester goes on and we finalize our program roster, then we're sending information about, precisely those students' names, dates of birth, all that information to really issue the tickets. But any individual student can, or faculty member can apply their airline miles, could pay for upgrades, could change their departure dates or, destinations with
Okay.
also some constraints by the airline. So there are some like sometimes a student will say, oh, I'm supposed to fly out of Paris, but I want to stay an extra 2 weeks with my family and fly out of Rome. That's something we have to check into and see if the airline will allow such a change. But there is a lot of flexibility, and our travel agent, our flight coordinator, she's awesome at helping us kind of organize all of those individual details. So yeah, absolutely. You can
Okay.
individual upgrades.
Okay, thanks. And I think there was some mention about getting travel insurance. Is that through the department?
Yeah, so we provide travel insurance for all of our participants, students, and faculty. Some of our, generally we use iNext, that's our provider. And we enroll all students and faculty in this coverage. So it's going to be a travel insurance, international travel insurance, and then it'll also be a medical insurance, but works through reimbursement, right? So if you have a doctor's visit or something, then you'll be reimbursed.
Right.
And so we do that on our end. We just collect the information and do the policies, and you receive all the information by email. There is some add-ons that different, that you could do, like cancellation and things like that we offer for students, but that's all included in the fees that students pay, and faculty are covered by those policies as well.
Okay, thanks. I'll mute and give somebody a chance.
No, that's awesome. Those were all really great questions.
I was glad to have that information, Dr. Ellis. Thank you for asking those questions.
I would say I'm a fat old man. I can't fly coach transatlantic, so I always upgrade to business. So I mean, I know it's if you're young and everything and young and slender, it someday maybe.
Well, the seats just keep getting smaller, I feel like, right? Isn't that what everybody says? All right. Well, if anyone else has any questions, we have another minute or two. I'd be happy to answer them. Don't hesitate to let us know. And if you don't have questions now, but some come to you afterward, like I said, we're going to follow up with this information by email, and we'd be more than happy to answer any follow-up questions that you may have. As you're working through any of our Google Forms or applications, if you come upon something and have questions about how it should be completed or what your next step should be, never hesitate to send us an email, and we'll be happy to, follow up with you. And if at some point you think it would be beneficial for you to have an individual meeting with our office, always know that that option is available. So.
Dr. Bailey, would you be willing to meet with me and Tisha Jenkins at your convenience sometime?
Yeah,
I can email you separately.
I'm headed out to a conference until next Thursday, but after
Yeah,
that,
no hurry.
Yeah, very good.
Thank you.
You guys, one thing to think about as you prepare to apply, what courses will you teach? Strategically, it's good to have 2 offerings so you get more students. One maybe at the UCA core level, gen ed sort of class, or lower level. One maybe upper division for some of your majors or minors in your program. The other thing is if you've got a partner and they're offering 2 courses, most students won't sign up for 6 credits, but if they're Pell Grant eligible, and a third of our UCA kids are, if they take 6 credits in the summer, they can use up to a full additional Pell Grant, which could be $1,400. So that's one reason to make sure the kids have the option of taking 6 credits, because that amount of money pays for an airplane or maybe even, most of the tuition. So some people do like a 1 or 2 credit class to keep the tuition cheap, but generally speaking, having credits available that count towards the student's program is important. And your dean and chair, your chair and dean, have to approve the courses that you're teaching. And last thought, sometimes there's courses that you could teach not in your department. And don't hesitate to ask colleagues can I be the instructor of record for cultural studies in the School of Language and Lit? Because we've been using that course in Rwanda for years. And basically that course is whatever you want to make it on culture and international issues. And there are other courses like that on campus.
Yes.
All right. All my wisdom for one day.
Well, thank you all so much for your time today. Like I said, if you have any follow-up questions or need anything after this meeting wraps up, you are welcome to reach out to us by email. You'll be receiving these slides and access to other information by email, so don't hesitate to reach out. Yeah, so thank you guys so much. Hope you have a great rest of your day. Thanks for being here for part of your afternoon.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye-bye, guys.